job, good job. Thank you so much. That was a great job. I really appreciate the introduction and everybody giving me such a warm welcome. I have friends here at Cass Med High School, except that they're the teachers and the administrators. And so I graduated high school in 1994. Who can do some quick math about how long ago that was? Anybody? Anybody? Any math majors? Very good. Almost 30 years. Oh, well, in June. Almost 30 years in June. I'm very pleased to be here to speak with you all today to talk about my leadership journey, how I got to where I am, and answer some of your questions and hopefully maybe find some common ground in your leadership journey, which started when you came to Cass Med High School and decided to get your education at a school that's incredibly impressive. I follow the school and everything that you're doing. I was so excited when Ms. Russell told me about what they were going to be doing with the Cass schools. How many years ago has it been now?
It started in 2017.
2017. Even I can do that math. That's about 7 years ago. But again, I'm really glad to be here. I'm going to take you through just a few slides to talk through some issues that I think that we have in common in the work that I do in public transportation and the things that you're studying here at your school, and tell you a little bit about myself so that we can get to know each other. So a little about me. I was born in Brownsville, Texas. Who knows the Rio Grande Valley? Anybody have family down there, maybe from there? Yeah, so you know it's a great big region right on the border in Texas, the tip of Texas. I was born there sometime last century. I won't tell you exactly when, but in the 1900s, the late 1900s. I've been in San Antonio since 2008, so that's 16 years here in San Antonio. I came here to be the editor-in-chief for San Antonio Magazine and later go back to the San Antonio Express News, which I had worked at before changing careers for my what's called a second career in public relations, communications, and marketing. My career and the work that I've done started in a very small newsroom in Brownsville, Texas. It was my hometown newspaper. I started there because when my mother got sick, sometime in the maybe my third year of college, I had to come home and take a few jobs to help out. And I know that some of you probably understand what that's like to have to help out at home, and I've been through it with you. So to those of you who are helping out in your household, who help maybe take care of younger siblings, who have a job, my hat's off to you. It's not easy. It's not easy when it's your age, and when you get older, it's a little bit easier to deal with it, but I'm telling you, you're learning some important things right now. So I went home and I took a few jobs, and one of them was typing obituaries at the local newspaper at home. Typing obituaries at night so that I could study during the day. I also took a job on the weekends at my family business, and then at my college at the newspaper there. And so what I found was that I really loved journalism. And I remembered that in high school I participated in journalism. And that was the start of my journalism education, because I didn't go to college to study journalism. I went to study government and literature. Sorry, I snoozed for a little bit when I said I was studying government and literature. But I found that I had a real passion for journalism, and that happened in the real world. And I tell you that because sometimes what you think you are interested in now grows into something else. And I want you all to give yourselves the room to discover what you really love to do, like I did with some of my first jobs. That career grew into a communications career, more at large communications, including marketing and public relations professional work. Today, like Rafael said, I'm Vice President of Communications and Strategy at VIA Metropolitan Transit. Who knows VIA? Who rides VIA? Some of you ride VIA. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for riding VIA. And we're going to be talking a little bit about what VIA does for the community and touching back to some of the things you're learning here at the Med High School. And then finally, I am a pet parent. I have two wonderful doggies, Ziggy and Daisy. And they wanted to come with me today, but they couldn't. But here they are. Ziggy and Daisy are both rescue dogs. All of my pups have been rescue dogs, and I'll do a quick plug for something I'm very passionate about, which is adopt, don't shop. There are a lot of dogs out there who need loving homes. Ziggy and Daisy were just two of them, and so they wanted to say hello today as well. I was asked specifically to talk about my leadership journey. And I'll take you all the way back to high school when I was you guys' age. And there's a picture of me with all my friends, last day of school, senior year. That's me right there, holding the yearbook. I mentioned that I enjoyed journalism classes in high school. That included yearbook, that included newspaper, school newspaper. I was also in student government, student council. I was on the dance team. I did as much as I could with the opportunities that I got in high school. I also graduated top 5% of my class with some very smart, very wonderful people who've gone on to do great things, and we still kind of hang out. So if you think you're going to lose your friends after high school, you don't. You still talk to them, and you learn about their lives as they go forward. That was James Pace High School in Brownsville, Texas. Shout out, James Pace High School Vikings, class of '94. And it was a really great experience, and when you look back, to those of you who are involved, who are interested in leadership positions among your classmates, you'll see that it was the start of a journey as you went into adulthood. I found out that I really did like to organize things. I liked to lead things. I liked to be in front of the class, whether it was on dance team or whether it was on UIL, academic decathlon, all these different things that I don't know exist anymore. They may not exist anymore the way that I'm referring to them, but it was all about leading a team. And I really loved leading that team. And as I grew older, I realized that opportunities to lead really always interested me. And that was the start of what I knew that I wanted to do someday, which was to lead teams in my career, whatever that career may have ended up being. So in the fall of 1994, I packed up and I went to Austin to go to UT. Anybody here interested in UT? I see you, sir, back there. UT in Austin, wonderful. It's a great school. It's a huge school. I was around more people than I'd ever been around in my life because Brownsville was kind of a small town. And it was a little bit of a culture shock, right? Because I was used to Brownsville and the way things moved in the Rio Grande Valley. And when I went to UT in Austin, it was massive and my eyes just literally went like this. And then the whole time that was just kind of the way I felt inside. It was huge, but it was such a wonderful opportunity to see and learn from other students, to hear different perspectives, and that's what college is supposed to be about. Learning about yourself and the other people maybe in your generation or generations before and after you who are joining you in those classes, learning about what you love. So the picture that you see there is just wanted to remind you all that we used to listen to some pretty cool music back in the 90s, right? It's not all about what you hear on the radio today, although it's lovely. Look into some Counting Crows, Sarah McLachlan, and Guns N' Roses. And those teachers, I'm getting the hands up from the teachers in the room. Y'all know what I'm talking about. In college, my journey, the one that you're told happens, you go to high school, you do well, you graduate. You go to college. In college, you work hard, you do well, you graduate. And when you graduate, there's going to be opportunities waiting for you. My path changed a little bit in college. I struggled because I wasn't sure what I wanted to study, and when you're not necessarily interested in what you're learning, it's hard to keep up, right? It's hard to stay involved. It's hard to understand what you're working toward sometimes. And so literature and government maybe wasn't what I was interested in, but I still hadn't thought about journalism yet. And communications. Somewhere between my second and third year, my mom got sick, and she wasn't able to work. And so I had to come back home to Brownsville to help. We talked about that. Students who have to help in their families, it happens a lot. It happens to a lot of us. And it teaches us a lot of good lessons. My brother was in college at the time, and he's older than I am. He was older than I am. He was at St. Edward's University, also in Austin, and studying, and he was ahead. We made a deal that I'd go home and help Mom, and he'd finish because he was closer to finishing. I went home, I got all these jobs. I enrolled at UT in Brownsville, and I tried my best to keep my head above water with all of it while my mom got better. What happened was I kept getting promoted at the newspaper, and I went from obituary typist to features reporter to news reporter to assistant city editor and then editor-in-chief in 5 years. And that's when I realized that I was doing what I loved to do. It was writing, it was reporting on my community, it was storytelling, and overall it was communications. I was communicating through print newspaper to tell the story about Brownsville, this community that I love that helped to raise me. I'm happy to tell you that my mom got better. She's still with me today. She lives with us, and she's happy and thriving, and so am I. The other thing that happened, though, is that I put my education on hold in order to focus on my career. I kept getting promoted, so I thought I can wait go back and study when I get the chance. And I'm going to tell you guys, I made a hard choice, and I took a harder road. I decided to continue investing in my career, and I would enroll in school and then stop, and enroll and then stop. And I like to say I'm a pending graduate, because someday I would really like to go back and finish. And for a lot of people, that's the path to take. You go to school, you learn about what you love, and then you go out and do it. I figured out what I loved, and I decided to do it because I had to work. Different set of circumstances. And I tell you this because life may throw you challenges. And the thing is not to give up on what you were doing, but to figure out how to move forward from where you are. And that's what I had to do. I hope that some of you have a wonderful, easy path to success, but I'm going to tell you that there likely will be challenges along the way. What I hope that you take away from today is that success doesn't come from a path that's defined for you. Success comes from the path that you define for yourself. During that time, I will also tell you that my brother continued in school, and he got his bachelor's, and then another bachelor's, and then a master's. And he was teaching at a college in Pennsylvania. In summer of 2021, we lost him in a car accident. And it was incredibly difficult for us. It's still incredibly difficult for us because my brother and I were a team. Those of you who have siblings in here or cousins that you're close to, maybe even best friends, you know you have that one person, right? You're ride or die. That's the person that's always with you. They're always going to be there for you. That was my brother. He was so close to getting his doctorate degree that I spoke to his college and convinced them to award it to him posthumously. That means after they've passed away. And in May of 2022, I went to Pennsylvania and I walked across the stage and I collected my brother's doctorate degree. So even though I couldn't finish and we promised that he would finish, I can say I have a doctorate degree that I went and I got for my brother, and may he rest in peace. So like I said, life's not always going to turn out the way that you plan. That doesn't mean you can't reach your goals. So here I am working at the newspaper in Brownsville. I was 26 years old, telling stories, big stories, important stories, national stories. And like I said, I fell in love with journalism. And after about 5 years at the Brownsville Herald, I got the opportunity to come up here and work in magazines. That's a totally different kind of journalism, and it was a lot of fun. San Antonio Magazine is now, I was the first Latina to be the editor-in-chief at the Brownsville Herald in 111 years. I was the first Latina to be the editor-in-chief for San Antonio Magazine, which is still in publication. And it's a wonderful, wonderful experience to be the first. And when you are the first, just remember to turn around and leave the door open, hold the door open for those that are coming after you. You should always strive to be the first when you know that something needs to happen, but you should always, always strive to be, not to be the last. Make sure that you leave the door open, you hold the door open, you put your hand out for that person who's coming after you. And here I am today at VIA Metropolitan Transit. I'm going to have my 10th year at VIA next year. And I really, really do love what I'm doing, public relations and communications. It might not have a lot to do with med studies like you all are doing in high school, but you'd be surprised how many people in my field work in medical facilities, work for health industries, work for hospitals and such. Everybody needs to tell their story, and that's what people like me help do. So why did I choose VIA? The buzz kind of says it all. Transit rocks. And I know you guys are probably like, no, riding the bus does not rock. But what the bus and bus services do in San Antonio really does rock. And for me, it mattered to do something that I loved, to do something that mattered to other people, to serve the community that I live in. It was very important to me to feel like what I was doing every day made a difference in someone else's life. Let's talk a little bit about how transit does that. Public transportation in our city and in any city that has public transportation, it provides access to opportunity for people. It connects them to jobs, to goods and services, to school and to each other. If you didn't have a vehicle at home that you had access to, either by driving it or someone else in your home that could drive it, how would you get somewhere? What's an alternative to traveling if you don't have a car? Bicycle, that's good. Walking, that's good. Anybody else? How much time do you have to travel, sir, if you're going to walk or take your bike somewhere in San Antonio? It's going to take a while. It's going to take a while. Did somebody say Uber? Somebody said Uber. Y'all know how much Uber costs? It ain't cheap. It ain't cheap. So public transportation provides a service that's affordable, that's reliable, and that's frequent to get you where you need to go. And if you do have a vehicle at home and you're heading to HEB and you get there and there's no workers there, there's no one stocking the shelves, there's no one at the cash register, because they need public transportation to get to work. So we may not all use it, but we all need it. Because if we're blessed to have our own vehicle, or if we're blessed to have the means to be able to get somewhere on our own and on our own time, then we need the people who are working with us, who are in service to the grocery store, to the gas station, that work there, we need them to be there. So think about how public transit connects you. And not only when you ride, but when you get to your destination and the people who you need to see there are there. So public transportation offers access to opportunity that may not exist otherwise. It is a safer way to travel. Statistically, one of the studies has shown that it's about 10 times safer per mile than car travel, to travel by bus. It also saves money. Owning a car is the second largest expense after you pay for housing, or your parents pay for housing, and someday you all will pay for your own housing. Your rent or your mortgage will be your most expensive thing every month, and then transportation. What does it cost to own a car? Anybody want to take a guess?
Maintenance, gas.
This young man knows. He knows. It's not just owning or buying the car or paying the note. It's maintenance, gas, insurance. You can collect a few bucks from your friends if you give them a ride, but I'll tell you what, it's not going to cover it. A family can save up to $13,000 a year by reducing the household by one car and taking public transit. Is it easy to do? Sometimes, not always, but we're going to talk about what VIA is doing to make it easier to take transit in San Antonio. And then, of course, who here cares about the environment? I want to see every hand up, because I'll tell you what, we all breathe the air, we all drink the water, we all have to care about our environment. And public transit helps reduce the carbon footprint. Very simply, it takes harmful emissions out of the air, because it means fewer vehicles on the road. Modern public transit, the vehicles actually are usually using green technology. VIA certainly does. VIA has an all CNG fleet, which is compressed natural gas. And you guys should know that here in San Antonio is home to the largest compressed natural gas fueling facility in North America. We are blazing trails here, but we're doing it in a green way. We like to say our buses are red on the outside and green on the inside. Right? It's environmentally friendly. We're very proud of that, and we're moving forward with that technology to make sure that the environment, the living environment, is a lot healthier and safer through public transit. And we'll talk a little bit more about how this affects health issues, because I know that's what y'all are studying here. And so let's make a connection. Public transportation drives health and wellness, period. Period. Have y'all ever thought about that public transportation is a determinant for health and wellness? Who here is studying social determinants? Who knows the phrase? Teacher? Yes, ma'am. You better point at those students and make sure they raise their hand. Y'all are going to have a quiz on this later. It drives health and wellness, and let's talk a little bit about how. And this goes back to doing something that matters. There's people at VIA who do this every day to make sure that this is just one of the things that public transit provides for our community. So let's discuss. We're going to go over how we're going to link public health and transit. How does it affect community health? We're going to talk about VIA's Keep SA Moving Plan, which I'm really excited to tell you guys about. And then what happens next, looking ahead for your city and your region here in San Antonio. So social determinants of health. I know you can read the screen, but who knows what it is without reading the screen? Quiz later. Yes, ma'am.
Environmental or just like your race?
Absolutely. Non-medical factors that influence health outcomes, right? Things other than your physical or mental health that actually influence your physical and mental health. Let's talk about a few of them. Food. How is food a social determinant of health?
You have energy, your body's able to fight off a lot of diseases that you would have otherwise if you weren't fully healthy based off of your energy.
Perfect answer. You need food for your body to be able to function. You need access to healthy food and fresh food in order to maintain a healthy body, right? Where do you get food from? The grocery store. What if there's no grocery store near your house or your neighborhood? You have to travel to get your food, right? How are you going to do that? I'll tell you something really quickly. Who here knows what your semester pass is? You almost raised your hand. Yeah, almost half of it. Yes. So here in San Antonio, VIA provides free public transportation to students. And you can use your ID or the pass that's provided by your school or by VIA in order to access VIA services. All VIA services. Buses, vans, paratransit if you need assistance getting around. Also our VIA Link service, which is an on-demand service, and we'll talk about that soon. I think you guys will be a little excited about that. So even in college, it's called a U-Pass. Over 100,000 college students and faculty and staff are riding VIA for free using their U-Pass. That's just something that we do to make sure that we can reach as many people as possible with the benefits that public transit provides. Housing. How is housing a social determinant of health? Got to have somewhere to live, right? That's pretty basic. It's one of your basic needs: food, water, shelter. Got to have housing. Employment. Right? Need some sort of income coming in so that y'all can go and get the food that you want, so that you can have a place to live. Social support, programs, belonging to organizations, places that can help you when you need help. Education, that's an easy one, right? You want to get educated, you want to finish your high school, you want to learn about what you're going to do with your life so that you can have success and so that you can thrive. And then, of course, transportation, and that's the one that we're going to dig into just a little bit more. But if you look at all of these icons and using the definition that you gave, ma'am, transportation actually touches all of these because you have to have access to opportunity. That's what transportation provides. Let's talk a little bit about how we're charting a healthier future using public transit. It improves access to health care, means you can get to your doctor's appointment. You know what the majority of trips are not, maybe not the majority, but a great number of trips that we make with our VIA Trans, which is for people who are living in the disability community or who need assistance to get around. The majority of them, or a lot of them rather, are for dialysis treatment. Who here knows someone who might have experience with dialysis treatment or understands what dialysis treatment is? Some hands, right? We all have friends and family who have health issues that they need to address. People who go to their dialysis appointments rely on VIA. But that's not all. Doctor's appointments for their children, for themselves, for their parents, for their family member or someone that they're providing care for. VIA gets you to health care. It reduces air pollution, which we talked about. Why is it important to have clean air? Does it matter what you're breathing in? Absolutely, right? So reducing harmful emissions in the air helps to reduce the probability of respiratory infections and other illnesses that might be caused by breathing in bad air. And then it encourages physical activity. How? How does public transit encourage physical activity? Yes, sir. Have to walk to the bus stop. Or you have to bike to the bus stop, right? Or from the bus stop, whatever that may be. So it encourages physical activity as well. So what's VIA doing to provide solutions to some of the challenges that we've been talking about? We have a plan. It's called Keep SA Moving. And I'll tell you a little bit of the backstory, and then I'll tell you a little bit about what we're doing with it. In 2020, we had a big election. I don't think any of you here were old enough to vote, except the teachers. But in 2020, we had a big election. It was a presidential election. It was during COVID, and it was probably the most exciting time for those of us who follow politics and elections in my recent memory, actually. Well, VIA had an initiative on the ballot asking the public for support to fund transit improvements. Who thinks VIA is perfect and doesn't need to do anything better? Exactly. Everybody can do better, right? And VIA certainly has room to grow, but we need funding to do that. We need funding to put more buses on the road. More buses on the road means more frequency. More frequency means more people will ride and get to where they're going faster. And that's our goal every single day. So we ask the public, please approve 1/8 of 1 penny of existing sales tax so that we can do better for you. Doesn't sound like a lot of money, but it sure adds up. And all the yellow that you see on the map, you see that yellow? That's almost 70% of the entire area that VIA serves that said yes. Yes, you can have 1/8 of 1 cent to do better. Please do better. And how are you going to do better? And so on election night, we celebrated. We celebrated that the public said, yes, we're down with your plan. Now, what are you going to do? Well, this is the plan. It has 3 major pillars, and it's designed to move more people faster and farther. How? Like this. A better bus system. Y'all see the buses, right? We have about 500 buses running in the street at any given time. We want to do better at how those buses run, how fast they're able to get to where you're going, not by speeding, by coming more frequently to your stop, and by getting you to your location more efficiently. We're working on how to do that better so that our core bus service is working for a growing San Antonio. Also, VIA Link service that I mentioned earlier. Who here uses apps on their phone? Everybody, right? Everybody, right? Who are the Android users? Who are the Apple users? Oh, I think we've got more Apple users. Well, the VIA Link app and the VIA Transit app work on both phones and they're free. So if you're currently taking the bus and you're not using the app, you're missing out. If you live in one of the zones where VIA Link exists, and there are currently 4 zones, mostly on the far northeast, far northwest, there's a south zone, and there's another zone in the mid-northeast, mid-northeast. VIA Link is basically like Uber, but at VIA prices. You got this young man showing me, see, he's after my heart right here, showing me his phone with the app. He's got it. Y'all need to come hang out with this gentleman over here. The card, you need to be up here giving this presentation right here about how it works. Thank you, sir. I love it too. And so VIA Link is like Uber, but with VIA prices. And basically right now it's working within zones. We just started it right before COVID, 2019. And so it got slowed down a little bit by those 2 years that everybody was kind of figuring out what to do. But how would you like to pay for an Uber-like trip? You book it on the app, it comes and picks you up, it takes you where you're going in 15, 20 minutes for $1.30 or for free if you're a student. That's the kind of innovation that this Keep SA Moving plan is pushing us toward. Solutions that the community has told us they need, they want, and they have prioritized. If you want to learn more about VIA Link, you go to viainfo.net/link. And I'll send those links to your teachers so that they can follow up with you if you want to learn more. And then lastly, an Advanced Rapid Transit Network, ART. These are big, new, more modern buses that are riding in a system in certain corridors to move you faster to where you're going. And how are they going to do that? Does that bus look cool or what? Right? This is what we're envisioning for our VIA Rapid service. And it, again, part of our Keep SA Moving plan, and what it's designed to do is meet the growth of our region. Do you all know about how many people live in the San Antonio area today? San Antonio, Bexar County? Too many. That was it. Close though, because I thought you said 2 million, which is actually the right answer. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And by 2040, which will be here sooner than you think, you'll be around my age by 2040, another 1 million+ people are coming to live here. Did you all know that the San Antonio area is the fastest growing population-wise in the country right now? More people are moving to the San Antonio area than ever. They heard y'all were here and that it was cool, and so they wanted to come. But also because there's great access to jobs. There's a lower cost of living here. There's a lot to do. The military is here. What else is great about living in San Antonio? The food, the tacos, right? Tacos, right? There's a lot of opportunity here. What's missing? What's missing? What's missing? The Spurs, hopefully not. They're still here. What's missing is, exactly, efficient, modern mass transit. People are going to come and they need to get where they're going because you know what? 1 million people and their cars are coming. And their cars. Who here drives? Driver's license? Oh, well, okay. No, I'm not going to ask the driver's license question. Who here drives? I won't even check if you have your driver's license. You should. But okay. You like traffic? You like sitting in traffic? You love it? Yeah. Yes? No? You like? Who else likes traffic? Who loves traffic? No. Well, if we don't come up with some solutions, we're going to be sitting in traffic a lot longer. Because you can't build your way out of congestion. You have to work with the motorists, with the people who are designing the highways, and provide alternatives to get some of those people into public transit. Give them the option. Think about how big a bus is. About what? 2 cars long? Right? How many people can 2 cars carry? Max. About 8, 9 people. How many can a bus carry? About 40 people in the same amount of space. You put 20 to 40 cars on the road carrying that many people, and that's congestion, right? So sometimes it's like a puzzle. You can carry more people through public transit, but they won't do it if it's not fast, frequent, and affordable. So that's what we're working on with the VIA Rapid line. Here are some features that make it different from our regular bus service. It runs about every 10 minutes. If you knew the bus was coming out here in front of your school every 10 minutes, would you take it? What about if it was every hour? No, right? Okay. So we know that frequency drives transit usage. So we're working on making a system where the bus can come, or the rapid transit vehicle can come about every 10 minutes. You don't even have to check a schedule, right? You just know that it's going to come and you come out there. That's what we're working toward. Transit priority signals. Ooh, sounds like a big fancy word. All that means is that it's bus friendly. That means that as these vehicles approach a light, the light talks to the vehicle through technology, and it changes to green to let the vehicle through, right? That means what? The bus isn't going to be stopped in front of you all the time. You're not going to have 2 or 3 vehicles waiting. And you're on the bus, you're going to get there a lot faster. Another way you're going to get there a lot faster, and you can wave to your friends who are sitting in their car with no air conditioning, is that you're going to be in your own lane. You're going to be in your own bus lane, traveling outside of traffic. And a good majority of the bus rapid transit lanes, the VIA Rapid lanes that we're designing, are in dedicated lanes. You can say, hey man, fix your air conditioning. I'm on the bus, I have free Wi-Fi. I'm comfortable, someone's driving for me. Imagine then by the time it opens, maybe you're in college. Do your homework, check your email, all on the bus, someone's driving for you. It's like a limo that you share with 40 other people, right? It's accessible. Why is it important to be accessible?
Everyone can use it.
Everyone can use it. It has level boarding for people who are on wheelchairs, or for people who need help, have a cane, use a walker, or just have limited mobility. Maybe they're a little older, they have to hang on. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm not that old. I fell last night in front of about 400 people. It happens. It happens. You need safe place to, I tripped on a wire. I got back up like this, and everything was great. But it happens, and so you need safe terrain, right? You need to be able to access where you're going in a safe way. So level boarding, right, and wheelchair access. We have that now, as best as we can on as many buses as we can. Because it's important for people who use the system who have different mobility needs. Who here knows someone who has a different type of mobility need, who uses a wheelchair or a walker, or who maybe just isn't so steady walking anymore and they need a little bit of help. These types of features make it more accessible. And then convenience. When you get on, what takes the longest when you get on a bus?
People that get on.
Paying, right? Paying with your card, putting in your quarters, giving your dollars, whatever that may be. Off-board fare collection for our new system means that you can pay on your phone, or you can pay while you're waiting. And when the bus comes, you're on. And that means less delays for your trip. So these are some really great features. right, for bus rapid transit, and it's why we're really excited to be bringing it to you guys. And then the benefits, and we've talked about this, but I want you all to look at the benefits here that we've talked about, and they're listed. These benefits address what? The social determinants of health that we listed, right? They help with issues about accessing food. They help with issues about getting to your job or a job that's near you. They help with issues about getting to school. Transportation is one of the top barriers or challenges to accessing these things that everyone needs to live and have a good quality of life. So we're connecting back. You all help me identify what social determinants are and what they mean to someone having success in their life, having health in their life. Transportation helps to address all those things, and this system in particularly is designed to address those things. So when, right? That sounds great. When is it coming? We're working on it right now. We've been working on it for a long time, and the vote in 2020 helped make sure that we're going to have the funds to run that system. And those things that we were talking about under Keep SA Moving, the innovation and the better bus service. Right now we're going into final design, which is an engineering term that some of you guys may be interested in, and here again in the future if you go into engineering and transit design. That means that we're finalizing how the system is going to look, how it's going to run, where it's going to stop, where it's going to go. And then also continuing public outreach and engagement. We're out there every day talking to people about why this is important, what it's going to mean to them, answering questions, taking their feedback and saying, hey, this whole group thinks we need to look at this, and we look at it. And sometimes it helps us make a change. And sometimes it helps us understand better what people need. In 2025, that's just next year, and we're a quarter into the year already, we're going to break ground and start construction along our first line, which runs north to south on San Pedro. It comes all the way down to this area, starting from the airport area, right all the way down to this area with continuing service to Brooks. You guys are going to be able to access this if you live, go to school, or work around this area. And then in 2027, if all goes well, we hope to open service. That sounds like a long time, guys, but it's going to go really fast. It's going to go really fast. So in your lifetime, very soon, in my lifetime, hopefully, we'll be able to celebrate the opening of the Green Line and everything that it's designed to do to make all of our lives better.